Captain's Log Supplemental. Now I want to talk about the Justice League stuff, and finally, DC seems to be straight up giving us a list of when some stuff is coming out and saying, we have a long-term plan, here's what it is, man do I hope this sticks. This is, for all intents and purposes, assuming that there is no backtracking, exactly what I've been asking for. My big reservation with DC, with Warner's and Justice League, has been they keep making a movie and then having this kind of wait-and-see attitude, but then they keep announcing things and going back on them. And they're kind of like they don't have enough confidence in their properties to take some risks, try stuff out, see what works. Now, assuming this all sticks, it seems like they're really going ahead with things and they have a huge plan. I think they probably feel forced into hurrying up and finally having a big plan because Marvel has one. And Marvel has so much of a plan that I feel like I'm looking 4 years out every time I go see a Marvel movie because I already know too much about the aftermath of the thing or whatever. That's a thing I'm starting to really get kind of irritated with Marvel. I wish they would have a plan, maybe tell us what movies are coming, but not anything else about them. I just talked in my last Captain's Log about Marvel and Captain America 3 and everything they're doing with Civil War and that kind of stuff, and I feel like I already know the aftermath of Age of Ultron. I'm hoping not to know too much plot stuff with the DC and Justice League films as they come out. It's enough to just know, hey, we're getting these movies, and isn't it exciting to see some of these characters finally realized on screen? I hope they're great. I still have my reservations about some of the stuff that I've seen with Batman vs. Superman. As I've said, jokingly, I don't like the title, but that whatever. That doesn't mean the movie's not going to be good. And I'm liking the things I'm seeing. I like the Wonder Woman costume. All the just superficial little shots of things that we've seen so far. Everything looks cool. So anyway, what are we getting? Let's go down the list and talk about it. The first thing I should mention about this list, by the way, and I already did a whole video about Suicide Squad, and I've talked about Shazam a little bit, is that the way this reads, and I don't want to read too much into it, it really seems like it's all in the same universe. There's been a lot of question about if Suicide Squad was going to be its own standalone thing or if it was actually going to be in this universe. If Shazam, because it seemed to be distributed by another studio and all of that, if that was going to be part of this. And there's been that talk about the dreaded, alleged no-joke policy and how in the world could Shazam possibly fit in this universe if they're going to be so completely dark, serious, broody, angst-ridden, and not allowing characters to, like saying, levity is bad, let's not have levity. I think the verdict is still out on just how much stock we can take in the whole no-joke rule thing, and I'm not going to talk about that here, but just looking at this list, it seems like in competing with Marvel, they would want to make it really obvious that some of these movies were not going to take place in the same universe if they weren't going to. After all, they're making such a big deal out of, we got Justice League, or we got Batman vs. Superman. The very next year, you get Justice League. 2 years later, you get the second part of Justice League. So, doing other things in between, and then eventually getting to a what looks like a 3-movie-a-year thing, as Marvel is about to have. It's really hard to buy that any of these movies wouldn't be in the same continuity if they weren't coming right out right now and telling us that. So I'm going to be very, very surprised if we find out that right after Batman vs. Superman, the very next movie is set in some other continuity and has nothing to do with that. I think that would be bad for business. I really don't think they're going to go there. I still think the placement of Suicide Squad is weird. It still seems like it would make a lot more sense to introduce some villains in the same way that they're introducing different superheroes in these other movies. It seems like it would make more sense to introduce different villains and then know who they're associated with, which characters, they're supposed to pair up against, and then give them the Suicide Squad movie. But it looks like what they're more likely to do, just looking at this list and how early this is in their roster, is they introduce a bunch of villains in Suicide Squad, and then maybe they farm some of them out. I hope that a couple of the major villains that we get in later movies are in Suicide Squad, and perhaps they're going to play it kind of like they did with Loki in Thor, where they introduce one on in a movie, and then suddenly he's as like a smaller threat, and then he's a big giant deal later on in another movie. So 2 DC movies the same year, next year. That is potentially really exciting. I love that Wonder Woman is coming before Justice League now. And again, I hope it sticks. I hope that's happening. Let me also say that now that we have a lot of castings, of course, we knew about The Rock in Shazam. Weird still that he's been cast, but we have no mention yet about Shazam. Jason Momoa now confirmed as Aquaman. No surprise. That's been rumored for a long, long time, and everybody thought that was probably happening. I think that is potentially a really good casting choice. And then I've liked Jason Momoa for the most part. And then we have a casting now, Ezra Miller, who I don't know, as the Flash. So like we've got castings. Hopefully that means that we are going forward. We're just going to make these movies, and we're not going to sit around and wait to see what the next one does before we have a plan or stick to the plan that we have. Let's see. Fingers crossed. So Wonder Woman before Justice League. Yay. Flesh her out. She's being introduced in Batman vs. Superman. A lot of people, including me, said, oh man, we are forcing too many characters in this. And there's been talk about Cyborg's supposed to be in that movie as well. I'm going to assume now that she's not going to be as huge of a part as I thought she might be if just the very next thing, if just the very next thing we were going to do was Justice League. So, yay, that's exciting. I really like that she's going to get a whole movie all to herself before she's in Justice League. And then we get Wonder Woman and Justice League the same year. November for Justice League? Really? That's really interesting. I wonder if the notion of the summer blockbuster is about to be just totally dead. I wonder if it's about to get to the point where you can make $1 billion any month of the year. Put the thing out in January, it'll make $1 billion. If it's the right kind of movie, if it's one of these giant superhero blockbusters that everybody is excited about. Because And I really think that some of that is in part thanks to the Lego Movie, because the Lego Movie was in February or March. It was an earlier month that did huge giant guns. When they announced this, apparently there was Warner's also tacked on. Oh yeah, and we're also going to make 3 more Lego movies. I wonder if they're all going to be Lego movies or like sequels to the Lego Movie, or if they might be, I haven't looked into that, or if they might be some different Lego properties. But anyway, so 3 Lego movies and a new trilogy for the Harry Potter prequels. So I wonder if the Lego Movie doesn't have something, it being Warner's and having done huge guns. I wonder if that doesn't have something to do with the fact that they've decided to put that out in November, a month that you really wouldn't expect their Avengers level blockbuster. It's really interesting. I'm sure also they're just trying to get away from those months that Marvel's already got, so that they can like dominate a different thing. The summer blockbuster might be dead. Then in 2018, we've got The Flash and we've got Aquaman, 2 characters that I have been really waiting to see finally realized on screen, although I have said that I love the Flash pilot so much, I really don't need a Flash movie anymore, but that's exciting too. I don't mind 2 different versions of the Flash happening at the same time. I wonder what this one's going to be like. I wonder if it's going to be very much like the TV show, or if it's going to be like a more dark and broody version of the Flash, given that the Snyder stuff is more kind of self-serious and kind of dark and stuff. So anyway, Flash and Aquaman. Yay that Aquaman's getting a solo movie, and that they're doing it as early as they're doing it. That's gutsy. That is potentially gutsy. I hope that he's a standout in the Justice League movie, and that people get really excited about him, so that his movie can perform and succeed. Shazam, once again, verdict is still out if that's going to be in the same universe, but just looking at this, and given that it's got to be, right. I mean, because they've got 2 movies in 2018, 2 movies in 19, 2 movies in 20, according to this list. I'll talk about Batman and Superman in a minute. That would be really weird if it wasn't. So anyway, then you've got Shazam. Are they going to introduce Shazam in Shazam? Are they going to do Justice League Part 1 and then later introduce Shazam in his own movie, and then Justice League Part 2 has Shazam in it as part of the Justice League? That would be very 52 of them. also want to tack on that a lot of people have been saying, looking at this, okay, so we've got Justice League Part 1 and Justice League Part 2, and like we're splitting that up into 2 movies as if there's going to be like a big cliffhanger and you only get 1 act in the first one. I don't know that that's what they're doing. Like lots of movies with a sequel and then trilogies call themselves Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, even if there is a complete story in the first one, but there's a larger story developing. I hope that's not the case with them being 2 years apart from each other. I really hope that there is a complete story in the first one, and wouldn't there have to be, given that they're going to have so many other movies in between, if they go with the Marvel model of all of these are linear. And whatever the next movie you see is the next movie in the sequence of events. And I would assume that that's the way that the direction that they're going with it. Then we get Cyborg in 2020 and Green Lantern also in 2020. I am not at all surprised that they staved Green Lantern all the way off to the very, very, very end of this to get it as distant as possible from the other movie that they had called Green Lantern that was not very successful and that a lot of people did not like. But once again, cool that it's on the list, that they're showing us they're not scared of it, or at least they're trying to show us they're not scared of it. I mean, that's a lot of years in between for, once again, a company that has kind of shown that they will announce things and then kind of turn tail at the first sign of trouble. Let's see. I hope that they have changed their stripes a little bit. Is that a mixed metaphor? No, you can have stripes and a tail. Yeah. Anyway, so Cyborg, I'm not excited about. I've always said this. I don't care for Cyborg in the Justice League. I got no problem with the character. It's just that Justice League is traditionally made up of, or at least the traditional Justice League. I'm not talking about the 90s Justice League with like fire and ice and stuff where they did the kind of ragtag group of kind of D-listers, but and Superman. But with kind of the traditional Justice League and everybody else they have on the team, these are the larger than life characters that kind of embody these big giant ideals and are kind of godlike sorts of characters, and Cyborg is not really that for me, and he seems like kind of the odd man out. I don't really love the idea of a teenager getting to be with the Justice League at the very beginning. We'll see how they're doing it and where it's going, but if they base it too much on the 52 stuff, I'm going to resist it because I don't care for that version of the Justice League, and I don't really. I'm just not into Cyborg, and I'm not into that Cyborg. So let's see. Maybe it'll be great. I don't know, but it's not. That doesn't immediately jazz me. The fact that they're willing to do Shazam on screen does jazz me, and Aquaman also. So yeah, they're definitely going to a lot of 52 stuff, but some of the stuff that they're going to, I would not have really expected from them. I thought that they would be afraid of Aquaman and Shazam. So, if I gotta have Cyborg in the middle of all that stuff, that's fine. Like I said, maybe I'll end up really enjoying it. So that's about it with the list. And then they've also tacked on, oh, nobody worry, we're gonna also have Batman and Superman movies in there too. So there will be a standalone Batman movie. I think originally the rumor was it would be 2018, 2019. Who knows? Everybody is saying that maybe Ben Affleck will get Ben Affleck, he's not in past tense. Maybe Ben Affleck will get to direct his own Batman movie. That's exciting, and a lot of people think that the whole reason that he's agreed to sign on for so many of these is because he's getting to direct one is in his contract. I hope so. That would be really fun and exciting for me, and of course I haven't seen him yet and see what he's doing with it. But a Ben Affleck directed Batman movie is exciting to me. I think it would be kind of fun if he directed Superman too. I don't know. Just the novelty of the same guy who directs Batman and Superman, and maybe Ben Affleck's sensibilities. He could bring something to it where they're starkly different, but he's the same person directing them. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. That could be cool. Anyway, whatever. It's weird that that's not part of this list. If they're saying that there's definitely going to be those two standalone movies in here somewhere, it's kind of weird that they gave us all these dates. and then they didn't throw in Batman and Superman and put them in a specific place. But I'm assuming they're going to be toward the tail end because they're going to be in the Justice League movies. They want to introduce these other characters, which is great. And also, the talk is eventually they want to do 3 movies in a year and start to make that their model. So it seems like it only stands to reason that the last 2 years of this, that's where they would be. So anyway, that's what we know. That's kind of my initial thoughts on it. If this is sticking, and if the first couple of these are really great, or at least a lot of fun to watch, I'm very on board with this. A lot of my reservations about Warner's could be quelled if they stick to this. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. Leave your comments. What do you think? Do you trust this? Do you trust that this is going to stick? What do you think of Jason Momoa's casting? What do you think of Ezra Miller's casting? All that stuff. Leave your comments. Looking forward to reading them. And I am Captain Logan. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. There's one more thing I wanted to mention, because I said I'd bring this up in this video. I haven't done it yet. Whatever. Let me say this real quick too. There is a lot of the kind of typical, and you see this in the comics too, the kind of typical Marvel and DC kind of fighting each other. They're really competitive, and that could be a really good thing and a bad thing. The good thing about it is, as I said in my last video, that competition could foster some imagination. It also could give us this irritating escalation of every story's got to be bigger than the last. And I don't want bigger, I just want well-told, good stories. Big and giant and epic is great, but if you do it too much, and if there's not a story behind it, it can get really stale. I kind of wish we hadn't started this universe with Metropolis gets completely destroyed. You know, it's hard to get much bigger than what they did with Zod there. I haven't mentioned this yet either. A lot of the talk right now is that Brainiac is probably going to be the villain for Justice League. So I mean, like, yeah, there is more places to go, but eventually you're going to have to go into the realm of alternate universes and bring in a bunch of other characters from different universes and put them all together before you can get all that much bigger than either of those two things. So that competition could be really good. At the same time, I wish both companies would stop looking at each other so much and just be as great as they can be, because I've always said this, I've always felt like this is really weird with the comics too. Yes, they're in competition in that they are both making superhero properties and both gaining money from it. But there is too much, I think, so far, of a mentality of, if you're going to Captain America, you're not going to this other movie. And that's simply not the case. Because a lot of us want both of these things to really succeed and want to go to all of them. Yes, there are going to be plenty of people that are going to pick and choose and go to the ones that they like. Sure. And so, yeah, there is natural competition there. But it seems like there is a little bit of this mentality, and now granted, we are moving things with Warner's to different weekends so that we're not in direct competition. But that's just smart business. But I really do feel like there is kind of this mentality of we've got to get people more excited about our characters than they are about Marvel. I just feel like you could kind of use the Marvel thing to get people excited about your DC stuff too. It's like, you guys like the Marvel guys, right? You should also watch our movies. I feel like you can kind of have both. I'm not saying that they, should get in bed together and do crossovers and stuff necessarily. I'm not saying there isn't natural competition, but I just don't want to see this kind of escalation where it's like, oh, well, you guys are doing your big giant event. Well, we'll go ahead and announce our big, huge giant event and out-event you. I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about that kind of mentality. Maybe oversaturating the stuff I don't think that there's necessarily too much of it if they're different enough and good enough And especially with Marvel lately, we've been seeing so many different genres that really excites me. There's a lot of different kinds of stories they can tell. There's different stories they can tell with DC also. But I just mean oversaturation to the point in the way of like making everything so grand that we're not stopping. And I'm especially worried about this after Man of Steel, making things so grand that we're not stopping to have any downtime to get to know these characters as people. That's something that Marvel's done a decent job of so far, and that's a place that DC needs to also excel at, I think, in order to succeed. Leave your comments. Looking forward to reading them. Like I said, I think this is mostly positive news. Looking forward to seeing what you guys think. And in the meantime, I am Captain Logan, and this concludes another Captain's Log.